One. We are live. Hi, everyone. We are live. Join me live is Keith Quisenberry, and today we are going to discuss social media marketing strategies and changes. Welcome to the show, everyone. My name is I'm the host of this weekly Facebook live show. I created this show because I believe our society has changed a lot. Social media and technology play a huge role in our changing society. As an educator, I really want to tap into this digital revolution to create a virtual learning space for us to learn from each other. On this show, I interview leading professionals and educators like Keith to discuss topics related to social media, technology, education, and change. If you are new to the show, thank you so much. I know Nick is here. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you are watching this on replay, thank you so much, future people. And if you are returning attendee, you know how much your support means to me and how much I appreciate you. Today, I am so honored to have Keith join us live to discuss social media marketing changes and strategies. Keith is a professor of social media marketing at Messiah College. He's also a consultant. Prior to teaching, Keith has 17 years experience in the industry in advertising and marketing. Keith is also a contributing author to Social Media Examiner, Harvard Business Review, and his opinions has also been featured in New York Times, Forbes, and so much more. Keith is the author of a popular social media strategy book, and recently he just released the second edition of this book, which we are going to discuss today. And there's so much more to what Keith does. We are going to let him share his story. Thank you so much for joining us live, Keith, and welcome to the show.
I'm glad to join you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, do you want to add anything to my introduction there?
Yeah, no, I think you covered it well. I spent the first half of my career in the advertising industry working with top marketing brands and working with communication professionals, PR professionals, and digital and interactive professionals. And we were creating, in the early days, social media solutions for our clients and really experimenting. And then I made the transition to full-time teaching, and one of the first things I was hired to do was develop a course in digital marketing and a course in social media strategy or social media marketing. And I kind of just jumped in and kind of learned along the way, and I try to keep up and bring all the strategies and tactics as they change to my classes and to clients and professionals as I go.
That's awesome. I'm sure we're going to dive into all of those topics. Before we do that, I want to give a quick shout out to the people who are joining us live. Hey, Nick and Antonios, Natasha and Shivo, Jim, and thank you so much for being here, everyone. And if you can type in the comments and let us know where you are joining us from, that will be greatly appreciated. I love our global community here. We have people from all over the globe joining us live. So thank you so much, everyone. And I'm also going to pin the Be Live link in the comment section. If any one of you wants to say hi to us, to Keith, ask him a personal question or whatever related to social media, and please feel free to click on that link and join us live. So I'm just going to get started with the questions I have here, and let's get started. And we mentioned at the beginning, I was introducing you, Keith. I mentioned that you just released the second edition of your social media strategy book. Congratulations. So the first edition was published in 2015, 3 years ago. So I wonder if you can share with us, within 3 years and between the two editions, what are some big changes that you have noticed in the digital marketing or social media marketing space that you think we also need to pay attention to? And what are some things that haven't changed at all?
Yeah, when I thought about this, I went back to the writing process when I was kind of updating to the second edition. I've seen four significant changes that have happened. The first one, of course, there's a lot of new tools and tactics and features that have been introduced. One of the big things that emerged that wasn't really in the first book was live video. And if you think about that kind of really happened very quickly with Meerkat. Like Blab came on the scene, but now, you know, by the time I got to writing this, the second edition, Meerkat and Blab are gone. Periscope's still around, and now Facebook Live is dominant, and of course they brought that to Instagram Live, and those are kind of the three big players. So that's a whole new section in the book. The other thing that's really changed is influencer marketing has really taken off. In the first book, I talked about things like brand evangelism, getting your employees to talk about your brand on social, and finding influencers like your superstar fans. And I mentioned things like the Lego Ambassadors program. But now we have influencer marketing that's more official. We have micro influencer marketing. We have influencer networks and programs and software like Tap Influence. It's become a significant part of social media. The third thing that I saw change is paid social. Paid social was in the first book and definitely talked about it, but it was still kind of a side thing that people were experimenting with, and honestly, a lot of the platforms didn't have it officially. Now it's definitely needed. Every social strategy has to have a paid component, and most of the platforms offer it. And then finally, the fourth thing that changed was some channels have faded away and others have come into prominence. Google Plus was part of the first book. That's kind of faded away as a social network. Flickr is kind of moved away. City Search was a ratings and review thing that's kind of disappeared, and Yelp has kind of passed. Snapchat was in the first book, but it wasn't a significant section. So now Snapchat's a significant section. I've added a whole section on messenger apps. Messenger apps were around, but they weren't really involved in marketing and PR and advertising. So now WhatsApp is talked about, and Messenger and Kik and Vibe and Line. And I've also added sections such as TripAdvisor and Amazon, in addition to Yelp, because ratings and reviews are so important. And if you're in a travel related business, you can't ignore those.
Yeah. Wow, those are some really great changes. And like the party when you were talking about video, I still remember the days when Blab was here. You know, everyone, like, probably how many of you in the live audience were using Blab? Only a few years ago, a short lifespan, and how much things have changed. That is just like so amazing. And you're also talking about influencer marketing. I wonder if there's any changes in terms of how we approach influencer marketing back then versus now. For example, like back then, I think when you identify influencers, you were looking at their numbers, like how big the numbers are, followers size. And that's why we have those like fake, followers and purchasing, like all those things. And do you see that has changed a little bit, or like if there's a new way to approach influencer marketing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, back then you were looking at the big celebrities and you were looking at things like clout scores, and that's really not as relevant today. It's more important to find micro influencers. Your Instagram star who has a following in fashion, and if you're a fashion brand, you find the ones with the smaller audiences, and they're going to be more effective for you than just going after the Kim Kardashians and paying millions of dollars for that tweet. It's really focused in on using more influencers that are relevant to your message and your audience, and leverage that way. And now we have these networks that kind of find the influencers and serve as a go-between instead of the brand having to do it all themselves.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. And also, I want to give Jenny a shout out. Thank you so much. She was talking about Meerkat. Yes, I remember those days. And remember MySpace? Like that was even a few years ago. And Deirdre is here. Thank you so much for joining us. And I saw Suzanne is here. And thank you so much, everyone. And please, Ashley, thank you. And please feel free to ask your questions. I will make sure to share your questions, and I'm going to pin the Be Live link shortly so that you can join the live video chat with me and Keith and to say hi to each other. And oh, Chocolate Johnny is here and from Sydney, and he is the king of live streaming. We were just talking about live streaming earlier, Chocolate Johnny. Thank you so much, everyone. You guys are amazing. So we discussed some of the big changes. What are some things that haven't changed at all, Keith, that you noticed?
You know, the thing I noticed I just have one thing that hasn't changed, and that's the need for an overarching brand strategy. You know, you can't, it changed, as we can see with Blab and Meerkat and all these things coming and going so quickly. You can't succeed by chasing the latest platform, the latest tactics, the latest features. Somebody's saying, well, if you do this, that's the magic formula. By the time you start doing that, then it's going to be something else. So simply increasing content on your existing accounts is only going to last so long. You have to understand the larger brand, the message that distinguishes you from your competitors, who is your real target audience, and then where is your target audience active. It may not be the big three social platforms, and you may need to go somewhere else.
That's true. That is so true. I think, you know, chasing after shiny object is something, you know, FOMO that myself and probably many of you in the audience can also relate to this. You know, whenever there's a new app that comes out, we felt the urge to try it. So kind of related to this, a follow-up question on this, Keith, what do you think are some common mistakes that social media marketers tend to make even after so many years?
Yeah, it's funny you asked me that. I just, my last Harvard Business Review article was on this topic, the basic social media mistakes that companies still make. And I wanted to look back and say, you know, most major companies have been in social media for 5 years or longer. You know, what's happened, or you know, what are they doing? And the things that I found, one of the big mistakes is they start with social media objectives. And when I say that, you're like, well, it's good to have objectives and you should have social media objectives. But what I mean is they start too small. They say, okay, we have a Facebook, we have a Twitter, we have an Instagram. Our objective is to increase our followers, our likes, our comments, and our shares. And that's good. It's good to increase engagement on your existing channels, but that's when you just think that way, social media becomes an end to itself, and you have no idea if that's translating into a real business objective, something that contributes to the bottom line. So I always emphasize, start with a business objective, increasing sales, changing perception, or if you're a nonprofit, you need to increase donations or volunteers. Start with that first, then go to target audience. Who are we targeting? And then go to, well, where is that target audience active? And then select your channels and then create the content. The other mistake I saw is most of the big companies started on the big social channels and they haven't gone beyond that. They're just sticking with the most popular channels. And I think they're missing out on a lot of opportunity. And there's some data that says that, you know, having a corporate blog is very effective and contributes to the bottom line. Yet only a third of Fortune 500 companies have a corporate blog. Pinterest is very good at delivering sales, but a small percentage of those companies are using Pinterest. So I think you need to reevaluate and don't just assume the channels you're on are what's best for your strategy. And then last mistake is not engaging. You know, brands, they find the channel and they create the content and they publish, and then they forget about the consumers after that. And I think the real return on investment comes in the engagement. It's a two-way channel. Sprout Social did a study, and they found that only brands reply to only 1 in 10 social messages that require a reply. So they're kind of dropping the ball after they publish the content.
Yeah. Those are really like good mistakes. I'm glad you mentioned this. I can definitely relate, especially the engagement part. You know, there are so many brands that I engage with them, I send them shout out, whatever. Clearly, they don't listen. They never ever engage back. So my love for them has definitely decreased over time. You know, why do I even try when other people are trying to engage with me? So that is definitely a great, you know, I think this is a good direction. You know, we are moving toward more a two-way, you know, we call this symmetrical two-way communication. Yes. And Suzanne was asking to share the link. It is published on Harvard Business Review, right, Keith? I'm going to find the link.
Yeah, it was published January 2nd.
Okay, I'm going to find the link, Suzanne, and post in the comment. And hey, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us. And people are just resonating with what you share in the comment section. Everyone, please feel free to ask questions if you just join us, and welcome to the show. So recently, we're talking about social media marketing strategies and changes today. Recently, I just finished watching the recording of Mark Schaefer's presentation or talk at this year's Social Media Marketing World in San Diego. So in his talk, Mark made a point of how everyone, including individuals, brands, organizations, companies, everyone is in a state of content shock. So I can so relate to that, you know, too much content. But it is interesting on the one hand, especially as educators, and we encourage everyone to be a content creator, share your story, document your story, you know, embrace live video. On the other hand, there is so much content. And I also love what Mark Schaefer shared when he was a guest on my show, that the economic value of content that is not shared is zero. I so agree with that. So within this context, Keith, I wonder if you can share with us some strategies or tactics that can help social media marketers to create content at the same time the content can be noticed by the people they want them to notice the content.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge topic. What I do is I go back to basic concepts from marketing and communications of a target market, segmenting your market and choosing a segment of the market and target audience. One of the misconceptions that a lot of people have is I need to broadcast my content out to the most people, and then I will get the most sales from that. I will get the most results. And this is proven false over and over and over again. I do case studies in my class where Gatorade left their core target of young high school and college athletes, and they tried to be the drink for everyone. Their sales declined. Then they went back to the smaller target. Airwalk was this great brand that targeted hardcore skaters, and then they tried to become the generic new brand, and now they're sold at Payless for $9.99. They kind of ruined the brand trying to be everything for everybody. So in my classes, I emphasize you can't be everything for everybody. You have to choose a narrow segment of the market, and that becomes your target audience. And then you just create valuable content that matters to that audience. The way Seth Godin said it was, you need to create something remarkable. And remarkable means it's a remark that's worth sharing, that's worth making a remark about. So create content that's remarkable, it's worth making a remark about, and people are going to share it. Because you can buy that initial view, but like Mark Schaefer says, then if people don't share it, then it doesn't go anywhere.
Exactly.
It may take longer for people to realize that you're the person that's giving them content they want, but eventually it will work. A great example I found was I was listening to an interview with the person in charge of social media for Garmin, and they make running watches. And she had this amazing amount of engagement and number of followers on Instagram. And the person interviewing her said, you know, did you spend a lot of money to get that huge audience and that engagement? She said, we didn't do any paid. What she did was she found people using the product, and what they were doing is they were creating these things called wristies. So you just had a great run and you have a good time and you want to show it off. So they take pictures of their watches that shows how far they went in their time. Garmin just found those, reposted them, complimented them, engaged with them, followers, and they started sharing, and it turned into this very successful social platform for them because they created valuable content and they created a conversation and they created shares.
Oh, that's a great example. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Here we have a question from Melissa, and she's asking if Medium is a good channel for a company to blog. What's your take on that, Keith?
Medium, I guess it could be. In the book, the main blogging platform, I just, what I do is I look at categories and then I look at traffic, which are the blogs that get the most traffic. And I do talk about Medium. But if you look just by sheer numbers, WordPress is number 1, Bloggers number 2. And Medium is there. It's just smaller, but it is a growing network. And what I would look at is I would dig into the demographics of the people that use Medium and see if that matches your target audience. And actually, if it does, Medium could be a better choice for you than something like WordPress, which is mass appeal.
Yeah. I can also kind of add some personal touch to that question. I have been using Medium to blog since last year, and I love the platform because already has a built-in audience. I was blogging on Medium regularly for about 2 months. Then I earned a top writer in social media status on Medium, which was great. And so if you are just starting out, if you don't have an audience, I think it's a good place to start. And also, I love this comment from Shvo. Like he was saying that he doesn't recommend Medium. Like we need to have, like social media in general is a rented space. We say that all the time. You still need to kind of bring people to your website, building your email list. Yeah. One thing on Medium, I'm not sure about WordPress, but on Medium, they have a partner program that allows you to earn money as you write. One of my friends, she actually earned, I just saw her article, $800 from 1 month of blogging on Medium. I was like, wow, she does creative writing. So that was kind of interesting. Yeah. So we are just going to move on. And everyone, please feel free to share and this interview and ask you questions, and give my page a like and follow if you are enjoying our interview so far. And so far we discussed kind of the past and the current state of digital marketing. So where do you think we are heading to? What is the future? What are some major trends that you noticed in the digital marketing space? And what are some important skill sets that we need to master to stay relevant in this space?
Yeah, I think when I look into the future, I see a major gap in business knowledge and this idea I've already talked about of how to create a brand. I think right now we have a lot of specialists that are focused on very areas that will become pretty small. And I think in the future, as we move forward, the person that is a branding expert first, that specializes in social media, that can talk the language of the management will succeed. And actually, I think a lot of us will, a lot of jobs, like traditional jobs, it's just going to be expected that you're a social media expert. That's just part of, if you look at job descriptions now, it's just expected that you know social media. So I think what we need to do is a lot of people just, they know a specific channel, or they know tactics, they know just how to create content, But the people in the future, you're going to have to know more about tying it back to the business and understanding that larger perspective of how do you create a brand.
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, I just posted the BeLive link. So if you want to join the video chat with me and Keith and to ask you a question personally, and please click on the link. Okay. And here's kind of follow-up question from Melissa regarding Medium. She asked, what if you use Medium for organic reach and work hand in hand with WordPress blog on company's site?
Yeah, that's a great idea. The other person made the comment about owned versus rented, and yeah, my blog is a WordPress blog, and it's my site. I own it, but I've for example, I've also reposted my blogs on inside LinkedIn, and I've published my full articles there. But it's always driving traffic back to my WordPress blog. So yeah, you can think of it that way: is have the owned website, but then publish on Medium as a way to generate traffic back to your own site.
Yeah, I do the same. I copy paste my Medium article to LinkedIn and my own website. I think, yes, exactly. We only have so much time to produce content, and we need to share the content to multiple places. Yeah. Did you already mention some important skill sets that we need to master to stay relevant, Keith?
Yeah, well, the idea of understanding the bigger picture, understand how to create a brand, what does management truly care about? If you can speak that language, and you can walk into the room and say, and not just talk about, we're going to increase your followers and likes and shares, but if you can say, we understand you need to generate sales, and this is how our social is going to help you do that. I think those are the people. If you learn those skills, you're going to stand out. The other thing I see that moving in the future, and this is, I haven't really heard anyone say this, I've actually heard people say the opposite, is I think organic social is going to become important again. Everyone's saying organic is dead, but what I mean by that is, ad inventories are going to tighten. We've already seen Facebook with that. People only spend so much time on Facebook, and they can only jam pack so many ads inside of your newsfeed before it becomes, not a good experience. So, and even if you're purchasing a Facebook ad, that is only buying you a view. A view isn't anything. So what I like to think about is return to organic, with the idea that in the beginning, social media was about voluntary engagement.
Oh, I love it.
So you create organic content that people will voluntarily want to engage with, and you use paid social to get it in front of someone. But then once they see it, then they engage with it, and they comment and they share, and that increases the amount of people that see it. If you're just leaning back and saying there's no organic, I'm just going to buy I'm going to buy eyeballs with my content, and you might get lazy, you don't create good content, or you go back into just sales promotions, it's not going to work. So I think there's going to be this movement back to involuntary engagement, creating content that's organic, worthy, but you're going to just pay to reach new eyeballs. And then once you reach the people and they like it, they're going to subscribe, and they're going to find ways to keep getting your content from you.
Yeah. That's a really great point. I love it. Yeah, you can already see this happening on Facebook a little bit, because, like how far away Facebook has gone from like being like a social media platform, right? And it's so interesting. Like every time when I promote my show on Twitter or different places, I always get a 1 or 2 comments from people who hated Facebook so much. I don't know if you saw that one comment from one person, Keith. He was like, Facebook, no. It is very interesting, and also happy to hear that people are hopefully moving back to the basics of social, starting as a social platform. Yeah.
Well, they're even, Mark Zuckerberg with the algorithm changes recently. He's even said that they're going to emphasize content that creates conversations. So that tells you that's that's content that people find valuable. It's remarkable. It's worth making a remark about. And people are going to voluntarily engage with the content because they find value in it. So, even the algorithms being tweaked to emphasize that kind of content.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone, we are going to wrap up in about 10 minutes here. Okay, so either click on the BLab link to join us to ask your questions, or type in your question in the comment section. So Keith, you are a contributing author to Social Media Examiner, Harvard Business Review, and your opinions have also been featured in New York Times, Forbes, Entrepreneur, and so much more. And I wonder, how did those incredible opportunities come to you? And how has this media exposure helped you do what you do?
Yeah, I never ask my students to do something I don't do myself. So way back, like in 2012, when I first taught digital marketing, I required all the students to have a blog. And with their blog, they had to apply what we were learning to try to increase their statistics on the blog, views and comments and shares, and utilize social media to spread. And they're kind of learning by doing. But I had my own blog, and I was trying everything that I was teaching them. So I was talking about writing about trending topics, and then that can improve your SEO, and that can improve your search traffic. So I just published an academic research paper on Super Bowl ads, and I knew it was going to be in an academic journal, and maybe 30 other professors might read it. But it was around January, February, and the Super Bowl was coming up. So I just published an article on my Super Bowl research, and thinking there's a lot of people searching Super Bowl keywords, Super Bowl advertising. And the other thing I did is I put a little edge on it. I took my findings and I predicted the winner of the Super Bowl ad rating poll that year. And it was one of the Budweiser Clydesdale spots. And it actually ended up winning. So I was checking the stats on my blog, and I saw that there were a ton of views coming from Slate magazine. And then I found that somebody wrote about the Super Bowl ads, and they linked to my blog. And at the time, I was getting like less than 100 views like a month. It was crazy. It was such a tiny blog, but it just shot up like crazy. And I was showing the students in class, see, look, I wrote about the Super Bowl, and this person wrote about it. And then because of that article, someone else was writing an article on storytelling, and the research was based on storytelling. They called me, interviewed me for Harvard Business Review. That came out. And then because of the Harvard Business Review article, another author was writing a piece for the New York Times. They interviewed me. Then they were also writing another piece for Entrepreneur magazine. They interviewed me. Then someone else called me and interviewed me for the New Yorker. And then it just kind of snowballed just from my tiny little WordPress blog writing on a trending topic.
Wow. I bet that is
the book and everything else.
That is such a great lesson for the students, learning from their professor, real life example. Oh, that is amazing. That is so amazing. And also talking about, trending topics. Yeah. Oh, I remember back then when live streaming was really popular, I discussed live streaming and the popularity of live streaming and WeChat in China. It's kind of popular. And Maurice Smith picked up my article she was sharing on her Facebook. I was like, oh my goodness. And that article performed remarkably well compared to the rest of my blog. I was like, wow, that is crazy. Yes. So great example. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, Jerry, thank you so much for joining us. And he also mentioned that he publishes his blog into multiple places. I think, we just need to do that nowadays. I even create sometimes images, quote images, and post on Instagram, bring people to your website. So this is a great way to transition to my next question. You are the perfect candidate to teach a digital marketing or social media marketing class, Keith. You are well involved in the industry, and you also do practical research. So I wonder if you can share some advice with college professors who are teaching social media marketing or digital marketing, storytelling, PR, or advertising?
Yeah, the one thing I have to say is it's very easy to get overwhelmed. There's so many social channels out there. There's so much changing so quickly. Let yourself off the hook. You don't have to know everything. It's good to stay up to date, but don't get obsessed with it. There's no way you could possibly keep up with it all. And that's why a lot of what I do is I focus on teaching the students strategy. And then I fill in the recent updates as we work on practical projects. So one of the things I do is I let my students go find the recent developments for me. So and one of the tools I do that with is a social media audit. One of the tools, and they pick a brand and then they go do a social media audit on the brand, and through that process of finding all that information on the target audience, the existing channels, the competitors, they always find these amazing insights that lead to a strategy on a channel, and they bring back all the updates and the latest what's going on, and it's just kind of, and it empowers them to go find the information themselves. And I'm not spoon feeding them everything. They're telling me, and it's a much more engaging process.
Yeah. This is incredible. I love your social media audit. Do you think you can share kind of the template with us? I believe many people join us are small business owners, and maybe they can also apply this template to conduct a social media audit of their own business and help them derive some like insights and make strategic decisions.
Yeah. All the tools I created for the book are on my website. They're free PDFs you can download. I even in the template, I give a little paragraph of how to use it, but I've also, in most cases, I've written a whole blog post on how to use the social media audit and a lot of the other things. And the whole book's based around, teaching students how to do a social media plan for a business or organization. So it's also written for business people to create their own social media strategy and how to execute it properly.
Yeah.
So it's all available free on the website.
Yes, I'm going to find the link, everyone, and share the link. Is there an echo? Okay. So now let's talk about your book, Keith. Where can we learn more about this amazing book so we can enhance our social media practice? And like a link, a website, an Amazon.
Yeah, I would just go to my blog, postcontrolmarketing.com. Postcontrolmarketing.com. That's where you'll find all the free templates and guides, all the posts that I write about the latest developments, how to use the guides, and there's a section on the book that gives you all the details of when it's coming out, where you can get it, and all those types of things. And by the URL is about the shift in mindset that has to take place from marketing communication professionals to realize that the consumer's in control now, and you can't control the message, and you can't control what's going on. So you have to shift your mindset to even be successful in social media.
Yeah, I love that. I think even you cannot talk about this a little bit. I think even in the classroom, educators, we need to shift away from that. I want to control the classroom. Instead, give some of that control to the students to co-learn, co-create content with your students instead of always perceiving you as the expert in the classroom.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Maria, just joined. We are wrapping up here, and thank you so much. And so one final piece of advice, Keith, in terms of social media marketing strategies, and where can people learn more about you?
Just, go to postcontrolmarketing.com. That's where you'll find everything. All my social channels are there: LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And I just created these tools. I want to help as many people as possible with them, whether you're a business person, a professor, or a student. And the goal was just to figure out this crazy thing and give you a framework to make sense of it.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Yeah, I shared Post Control Marketing And in the comment section, everyone definitely check it out. Keith has so many amazing articles, and the audit assignment or activity that he mentioned, I love doing that with my own students and for myself. So I think all of you can probably apply this to your own business, regardless of teaching in the classroom or for your own small business practices. So thank you so much for joining us live, everyone. And thank you so much, Keith, for sharing so much great comments and insights and wisdom with us. Truly appreciate your time. And thank you, everyone. See you next Wednesday, the same time, same location.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.